6 weeks ago, I had a grid and 4 building types. Week 6, and this game and city is starting to feel like something real. 20 minutes a day, that's been the whole experiment. No crunch, no marathon sessions, just showing up and moving it forward one day at a time. And the rule hasn't changed. Every single Wednesday I upload, whether it all fell apart or if it all worked out. The goal is still the same. A playable public demo before Steam Next Fest and a full release after that before July. But here's the twist. Every single new subscriber increases the max population cap of the entire city in the full release of the game. Last week I worked on the trailer and getting all the clips and got all the GIFs. And this week I'm going to try and get a actual real trailer up and running. That means cutting it and editing it so that it actually feels good and can be uploaded to Steam. And then I also want to add and get all the screenshots for the Steam page, as well as making all the different capsules for the Steam page. Right now the only Steam capsule I really have is this one, and we need a vertical one, we need smaller ones, and we need some bigger ones. I also want to try some new features, so first of all I'm going to try and add a save system. This is mostly to make it easier to test, take screenshots and record for a trailer. Let's get into week number 6 with day 1. Last week on Saturday and Sunday I basically sat down for 2 and 3 hours and worked on the game. I basically playtested the game to see if it was actually fun to play. And I found out that it kind of wasn't, and I started doubting the entire idea. So I basically just brainstormed and took some notes from this playtesting, and I found out quite a few different things. And that was that you don't really know what to do when you don't have enough money. You don't know how much it costs to place buildings. And once you realize that the only real viable option to get money is placing a bunch of commercial and industry buildings that connect together and synergize. And I tried to fix that problem by adding a new update to the upgrade system. I kind of revamped it. So if you go into a building right now, you need required buildings in the range. So for example, to upgrade a residential, you need a 1 park and 3 other residential buildings in the area to be allowed to upgrade. So this building is allowed to upgrade. You can see it needs 4 commercial areas in range. So if we went over here and just deleted these 2, it now does not meet the required amount of 3 commercial areas, so we can't actually upgrade it. That was the first change, and I think that has improved the game quite a bit, because it makes you need to actually place different buildings. You can't just spam commercial and industry and then earn all your money from that. You actually have to place parks and residential buildings too. After you basically had the starting tiles filled with buildings, you had way too much money and you didn't actually know what to do with it. So I also revamped the world expansion system, where now you can see there are blue outlines for the upcoming tiles. And instead of them being automatically unlocked when you reach a certain income goal, you now have to actually click them and buy them. So first of all, I'm going to try and add a save system. Let's start with making the actual save manager. Create a new save system in save manager. If you don't understand or doubt something, please ask before continuing. And I think that last sentence is one of the most powerful things you can tell an AI, that if you don't understand something, please ask about it before continuing, so that they have all the context they need. We got a save system and it also connected it to the economy manager. So now we have 500 money here. So if we say save and then we quit, we load back into the game and then we'll run load 1. Just like that, our money actually updated. Now we just need to connect it to the UI and also add a placement system. So basically we'll update the main menu so that the load button loads both the scene and the data before getting into the actual game. And then adding saving to the placement system so that the placed buildings actually get saved and then loaded. And I mean, 2 years ago this would have taken probably days, if not a couple of weeks, to actually make, saving the entire game in data and stuff and, well, debugging it when it doesn't work. But now you can make it in literal minutes, which is crazy. There's a certain charm to working on something for a long time and then being proud of it in the end. In the future, I think most people will just be game designers, where they apply their taste and then let the AI kind of build it for them while they envision and create their dream game. But now it seems to have supposedly added the main menu load and also fixed the placement system. Let's place some buildings down. If we run save slot 1, that should be it, and we quit the game. Let's actually try going from the main menu scene this time. So we press load. I don't see any of our buildings saved. Let's try using the load command then. Okay, the load command seems to work, but not the actual main menu. I'm guessing maybe it tries to load all the buildings in the loading scene and then they just kind of disappeared when you load it into the actual scene. But at least the command works. We just have to make it work with the different scenes. If I use the load button from the main menu, it didn't load any of the buildings. But now the main menu load issue was timing. Most of the objects that was using the loading wasn't actually alive, which will cause some issues. What happens now if we press the load button? We don't have the correct money, but it did update correctly and the buildings are not here. So the main menu load is still not working. Now let's try to fix it again. Let's see what happens when we press load. It still doesn't work. The AI thinks it's something to do with the frames it has to wait, and I would guess that too, but now it has set so that it should wait for 120 frames max, which should be enough for the loading to actually occur, but it doesn't. So it feels like there's something else going wrong here. So yesterday I did keep working on the save manager, because the issue with it was that it was trying to load a slot 1 instead of, well, the file 1. And I mean, I did change that, but the old serialized value in the actual code was not changing. The save system does work. And I did also add a save button in the pause menu. But not only that, I did also work on the Steam page a bit later in the day, where I made all the Steam capsules that's needed for the actual Steam page. And well, today I'm going to try and get some good screenshots for a Steam page. And to start, I'm going to go with these 6 screenshots. So once again, we need our best city composition with golden hour lightning, a placement moment where you can see the synergy previews, and then a land expansion reveal where a tile rises from the water, night city wide shot so that you can see all the glowing windows. So now with the save system, this is actually quite a bit easier, because now I can just load this save and get all these buildings without having to place them again. If we start with the placement shot, I'm gonna want 2 different shots of this actually. So we'll have one where one building synergizes with all the buildings around it. So for example, if we have a bunch of commercial areas right here, for the screenshot we'll have a residential area in the middle, and then you see the plus 5% on all the buildings around. And the second option is basically going with the opposite, where all the buildings connect to this one middle building, and that gives it a large percentage. And for screenshot 2, I think we're gonna go with the land expansion reveal. We want some city right here that looks kind of filled up, but I think we're gonna go for a screenshot when it actually rises. So now I do have a couple of screenshots. This one with the big synergy connection. We have the one with multiple connections, then one version of the tile rise where you just see the trees, and one version where you see more of the trees. And I think I'm gonna go with this one and probably this one for the synergies. Let's see what we can do with the third one, which I think is going to be the cozy neighborhood close-up. I'm thinking there's gonna be a park in the foreground. The problem right now is in the park, the people can't actually walk on these cells, and it's also not lit up. So I'm going to try and add that to the AI block navigation. And well, it's quite a annoying task where I basically have to mark out every single coordinate for every single cell on this park block. And before I just add a ton of different coordinates, I'm gonna try and map them out, and I do that by just adding a single cell. So here is 17 by 4. So now I kind of know how to structure this. Since yesterday I have actually added walkability in the entire park. It's all green now. I did do it in a smart way instead of sitting and calculating every single cell in the actual block. Instead, I actually went into Grid Manager and added the possibility to draw the coordinates on the grid. And well, this is basically how the final list looks, and it's quite long. And I basically built up this entire city for another screenshot, which was the night citywide screenshot with all the glow panes, but then I realized most of these buildings don't even have glow panes on them. The thing I'm going to try and fix now, adding glow panes to the level 3 residential, level 2 residential, and hopefully these windows will work with this. The window is on the same as the actual facade. I'm going to need to have separate glow panes for each window. I think this building will actually work pretty well with it. Yeah. Either I switch out this other building for another building, or go for more glow planes on this building and less glow planes on this building. Because I don't want separate glow panes for the entire building for each window, because that is not performant. I want to go more for this way, where I basically have one single quad that takes up multiple windows, instead of having one quad per window. So that's that building done, and I mean it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 glow planes for one building. Now the problem is this building. Maybe we'll just have to sacrifice the performance for this one building just to get the screenshots done, and some sacrifices I guess have to be made. But we'll try and keep it down so there's not too many on a single building. Okay, now we have glow buildings on both buildings in the level 3 one. Although the level 2 visual does not have glow panes either. So let's try and fix that too. And like that, there's now glow panes on every single building in the level 2 residential block 2. So I think that should mean that we have glow planes on every single building. This citywide shot might be best taken from this view, because you can see all the windows that are actually gonna be glowing during the night. And now I did just realize that the lightning isn't rendering further away from me. Let's see if we can actually fix that before we do anything else. It happens quite often that you just find these random issues when you try and make, well, a screenshot in this case, or maybe a trailer, that then ends up taking up the entire time because, well, it's an important issue to fix or something that needs to be fixed for the game to actually look good. So apparently URP does have a local light budget where it basically stops light far away from actually, well, emitting light, and it's quite expensive to increase that budget. From that conclusion, I think I'm going to try and just take the screenshot without having the lighting far away, because the windows will still glow, which I think is the most important part of it. And I'm also considering removing these money gain animations that are coming up on every building. First of all, because they are ruining the kind of screenshots, and I'm not sure if it's the vibe I want to go for. But right now I just try and take a screenshot without them actually being up. Maybe it's even too much window glow. Let's just take it from a few different sides to see. I feel that it's still way too dark on the actual streets, and this local light calling. I guess the two options are just like removing a couple of lights in the blocks so that it has more leeway with actually turning on other lights, because right now, I mean, if you look here, there's basically two lights right beside each other. No screenshot done today. I mean, kind of some versions of it, but I don't really like them that much. I think I'm gonna have to refine them a bit and come back tomorrow. First of all, I got some motivation yesterday to actually kind of refactor the code. I basically looked at the placement system and realized that it was 1,600 lines long, which is way too long. So basically I refactored it, which removed, well, 1,000 lines of code in the placement system, which is a lot more maintainable and understandable. As well as refactoring the place building, which was 700 lines of code before. Then I did also add a pooling manager that pools the effects like the building place smoke, or the money gain animation and the tile rise effect. This turned out to be a mistake, because when I made this pooling manager, I did it as part of the refactoring, and I didn't really test the game too much between the refactors, because I thought, well, it shouldn't be that hard to have the same logic. It turned out that the pooling manager did work for some effects. It did not work for the money gain animation, where the buildings basically just spawned more and more and more of these without them actually getting pooled or removed, which started lagging the game literally like 3 or 5 minutes in. And I didn't even realize this for like 2 hours, so I sat and tried to fix it for so long, but then I actually realized that there's tons of money gain animations. But thankfully that is fixed. It was really annoying, but it's done now. I also went ahead and took one of the last screenshots for the citywide PNG. Now the problem with the screenshots I've taken now is that today I woke up with inspiration and motivation. I immediately went to work on the game. I made the UI look less like a mobile UI, so I regenerated all the icons so that they have a different vibe to them, and also remove the yellow background. Now it's more of a gray background. And today I did wager if I should cut up the actual and edit the trailer, or if I should improve the game so it actually looks like it should, and I came to the conclusion that I should probably make it look like it should. There might be problems with having taken all these screenshots before I improve the UI or the surrounding areas, because now you see the old UI in this screenshot. And now that I already have all the views I need, it shouldn't be too hard to actually recreate. The trailer might be harder because I have all the clips, I just need to edit them together. But once the trailer is done, the Steam page is basically ready to upload. But now I want to add some interactivity to the purchasable land tiles. The player probably doesn't really understand like what is that. It looks more like a shadow. So basically I want to just show the lands that the player can afford, and they also like pulsate a bit so that the player can see that, okay, maybe I should click this. And I mean, it should be a quite simple change. And the World Expansion Manager does also need major refactoring. I might try and refactor it as part of this new interactivity in the tiles. So let's add a expansion visual overlap cleaner to handle all the overlap and cleaning stuff with the building placing and things like that. And I think I also want an expansion purchase picker separate. And I am immediately going off track. But while this is working, I think I'll go into Unity and actually add an animation to the purchasable plot. And basically I just want it to pulsate a bit, so it's nothing crazy. It just kind of floats up and down. I think that should basically be exactly what we need. Nothing crazy, just something that makes the player think that I maybe should try and interact with this. There should also be some sort of price tag, I believe, to make it more obvious that you can actually buy them. But I mean, you can see that they're moving, and it's really subtle, so maybe it's enough. I think we just stick to that right now. Let's add the actual new feature. Change the World Expansion Manager to only show purchasable tiles that the player can afford. And that was done real quick. Let's see if it works. Just coupled with the economy manager to see if the player can afford the land, and if they can afford it, the land shows. If they can't afford it, it doesn't show. We can afford this one, and we buy it. And now we don't see anyone, because we don't have any money. But if we add like 3,000, a bunch of tiles pop up. And that was basically what I wanted to get done with today's recording. Definitely been more than 20 minutes. Mostly because I feel like I actually need to get to work on this game for it to actually launch in July. And well, I cannot rush the Steam page, which make the assets there a bit outdated, but also maybe it's better to get a bit outdated so that the Steam page is actually up and people can see it. But I am learning as I go. Today I think I'm going to try and prepare a stable version build of the actual game. I do have a list of 5 things I want to fix for this stable build, and I might even discover more while I playtest a bit myself today. So I want harsher debuffs from the actual industry. Right now it's -10, but I'm thinking maybe -50 or 60 so that it really hurts. I also want the lands around to be more expensive as they scale and get further away, and I want the building names and prices in the UI, as well as actual like visual price tags above the land so that you can see that you can actually buy them. Because right now you might not realize that, oh, I can buy these lands. But really, I'm gonna start with the simple, easy wins. And that means going into the synergies, going into the industry, or let's actually go minus 80%. Because it's supposed to really hurt. That's the first win. Now, let's go into World Expansion Manager and actually change the prices of the land. Maybe it should be more like 2,500. And exponential multiplier, maybe 1.15 instead. So that you actually have time to fill up the tiles you unlock before you get new land. So first of all, the debuff should be a bit worse. Yes, minus 80%. If we place a park, it has a higher percent. You can place it, and you can also click it and then sell it, and it's also 0 production and 0 synergy boost. And when we get 2,500, we can see a new land comes up, and we can buy it for 2,500. So the building UI right now basically just looks like this. And the player doesn't really understand what the actual thing costs, or what the building even is. So really, I just want a text that might say what it is. And I guess you could say that my inspiration is kind of from Oxygen Not Included, where they basically have these icons for all the categories and then a small text under. But I'll also have the price somewhere around that. I'm not sure if it should be a tooltip or if it should show in the UI. But I think for now I'm just going to show it in the UI because I don't have a tooltip. The actual price, and maybe that should be like up here, and maybe we just go with the dollar sign instead of using the money bag, because well, it's quite a bit easier. And let's go into the building UI and make sure these are updated. While we're at it, we might as well try and clean up the scripts a bit, because right now all of the buttons are just handled in the building selection UI, and I would probably prefer to have that each UI building prefab has their own assignments. Now I think I will just delete all of these auto wire references and instead, well, actually assign them. I don't want these actually running in runtime, even though they might not, but just for the safety, because AI sure does love adding auto wire, because it can't assign it itself usually in the UI. Now we have names and prices on the buildings. Maybe a bit too small, and I think the text actually needs to move a bit further down so that they're not overlapping with the background, because I kind of want them outside. So now there's really only one single fix more I want to do, and that is basically add some sort of thing that shows that you can buy the land, like just a price tag or something, because right now they just bounce up and down and I don't think you realize, but I have no idea how to actually display that correctly. Maybe we'll have something like a sort of flag or price tag that says 2,500 or whatever the plot costs. It's a good start for a stable version, but there's still some fixes that need to be done so that I can then send them over to be playtested. It has been quite an interesting day. I basically was about to record this video, and then I realized that I wanted to give Claude Code access to the Unity MCP. And I thought I would do this right before I started recording, like it would take like 5 to 10 minutes to set up, and I basically had this Unity asset with MCP for Unity that connects Unity to the AI, that allows it to change scenes and create effects and animations and things like that. So I've been getting the assets up and running, getting it worked out pretty well, and also then connecting it and starting it locally was really no problem. Now what happened after those 5-10 minutes of setting up the MCP for Unity was I actually tried to connect it to Claude Code in VS Code. This turned out to be quite the problem. I was chatting with Claude Code about how to set this up, but well, Claude Code doesn't seem to know how to set it up, because it thought it was a terminal Claude Code, but really it's a VS Code extension. So it's giving me advice for something that it isn't. Even though the server is running and responding, it's in the actual list, it's in the settings. And well, during this whole time I was thinking, well, is Claude Code really the same thing as Claude Code command line interface? which turned out it wasn't. I set up Claude Code in the actual terminal instead of using the VS Code extension. That was the exact problem. So as soon as I got Claude Code in the command line, there was no problem at all with it accessing it. So now it has access to the unit MCP with the machine manage game object, manage component, create scripts. I mean, I just got this up and running, so really maybe you should just try it out. Make the loading scene more interesting by adding more trees, rocks, use existing assets, and maybe it will even be better at building scenes than ChatGPT. And well, the idea with this setup is so that I can actually work faster. Because, well, if the AI can also check components and assets and different objects in the scene and in Unity, that makes it get a lot more context of what I actually need. So in 2 minutes it has now apparently added to the loading scene. I mean, it did add a lot more trees than the other coding AI codecs I used. Still not amazing, but as a placeholder, I'm all for it. That was the work of the day, connecting Claude Code to Unity. Hopefully it will speed up my work in the future. I started today's work by actually playtesting my own game, where I kind of built up a city from the start. Compared to a bit earlier in the week, I actually kind of enjoyed sitting just placing buildings and expanding. So, I mean, I must have done something right with the previous playtesting and fixes, but of course the reason for the playtesting was to find issues, and I did find quite a bit of them. Now, all of these are very small issues, but these are things that need to be fixed for the full release, and also that kind of make the game actually complete in the end. One issue I noticed was that also when you filled up the entire starting tile, you didn't know that you could purchase new land later, even if you didn't have enough money just then, so you're just kind of stuck not being able to place anything or buy anything, or things like that, and you know, some minor balancing adjustments and stuff like that. So really today I just want to get as many of these fixes done. Let's start with the easiest one. Let's nerf our commercial area, because I think it's literally carrying the entire game right now. It's producing a bit too much. And then there was no incentives to actually place industrial areas. So that's why I'm thinking, instead of a park, you have to have industrial areas. So maybe let's say you need 2 industrial areas. And now let's actually move on to something that might take a bit more time, and that is adding a notification when the player is trying to place. And this text will basically just pop up saying something like not enough money or something like that. And the reason I'm doing all these fixes is because later today I'm going to do one playtesting session with one of my friends, and next week at some point I'm going to playtest another time. Well, I've kind of pivoted to instead trying to work and getting the game actually to a state where I want it to be, instead of trying to push out a trailer that doesn't look like something I want at all. I did record a trailer, but I didn't really like any of the clips. It didn't convey the right thing. So I think that by playtesting I will actually get the game into a state where I want it to be before trying to market it to everyone. The placement system is updated and should now show the world pop-up text with not enough money or if it's in a valid placement. Now if we try and place, the text is the wrong way, but you can, well, the text is there. So we can't get the can't place here. What happens if we run out of money? We have not enough money. I think we should be able to just set this look at camera to face away. We can place, and it works. If we run out of money, we can get not enough money. And I mean, it's been quite a productive week. I've added all the capsules to the Steam page. I've also added all the screenshots. There's now a save system in the actual game, so that, well, mostly for easier playtesting, as well as recording for the trailer and taking screenshots and GIFs and things like that. I also recorded more and actually edited a trailer that I didn't show, but I really didn't like the trailer. So I ended up kind of scrapping it. I don't really want to use it, which made me pivot into playtesting more. And by playtesting, I can actually find out what parts of the game need fixing, and from that get the vibe and feeling I want to get with the actual game. And once I get to a point where I like the result, which is hopefully next week, I can actually record a trailer and feel proud of it, instead of feeling like it's really bad. That's gonna be the end of week 6. A great week. I hope you made some progress on your games, and I will hopefully see you next week.